Welcome back. Welcome to the show. We return once again, like a second round of COVID-19, aimed at keeping you abreast of all the latest from the world of motoring and beyond. There's going to be fun, there's going to be frolics, but there won't be any FSO Polonaise cars, I can promise you that. Not on my watch. This show ain't about the very, very rich car owner who eats Bugattis for breakfast. No, we're about the ordinary man who aspires to own something nice, something to be proud of, and not an FSO Polonaise or even an Austin Marina. And this week, Playmates, we've got a corker of a quiz for you to test your motoring knowledge on. Our competition is all about global brotherly love as we try to unite the nations of the world through the medium of motoring. We will therefore this week be asking a lucky contestant to answer, what's my license plate? Here I'll be giving him or her an international license plate country code, and they'll have to tell me which country it's from. And like that British TV quiz show from the 1980s, hosted by Henry Kelly, Going for Gold, all of our questions will, of course, be in English. So if I was to ask our contestant the name of the country for which the acronym for the international license plate code is I, they would, of course, say, yes, the great surrenderers of Europe, the Italians.
Sì, grazie, Riccardo. Do you like my Italian accent there?
Very good. Better than your Spanish.
Yes. Of course, you're doing a really good job doing your bit for the European harmony, just as a time when we all need to be banding together.
Yes,
did we vote to remain in the European Union, did we? Yeah, that's what we did, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
No, don't think so. Anyway, we've got a great show this week. We have the news that is fit to print in the news car news. Is it? Yeah, it is fit to print car news.
Just about.
We have your favourite driving roads and the lost highways, and we'll be taking a look at the amazing car in our classic car section. This week, it's the Mitsubishi Galant VR4, if you can remember it.
Interesting choice.
And as per usual, we have all your favourites on the show, from the news and views to the big bulging hairy mailbag, which of course is overflowing as usual. So sit back, relax, try not to dismember anyone in your self-quarantine household, and enjoy the programme. I am Simon Sujuan, and it's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
Yeah, Simon Sujuan there, folks. The show's very own Michael Stipe. Just with more hair and less money.
Just.
Although that's not that much more hair. And I'm Richard Green, and then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's going to be a lovely day. And then I realise it's lockdown day 14 with coronavirus, and I think, how the hell am I going to get through this day with these buggers? Anyway, a tribute to Bill Withers there. Late lamented Bill Withers. Anyway, this is
Car-Boyz.
And before I begin my rant, which is, as usual, filled with bile, I should say we've got news that I only just found out about, that Simon's got a brand new number plate, which we're obviously not going to reveal on the show.
Obviously.
But that coincides with us doing a international number plate quiz. So you have entered the Pantheon, which I've never been a member of, people who have private number plates, which, if you are listening outside the UK, in America, it's very easy. You just go down to the DMV, and as long as they don't think it's too rude, or they can't work out it's too rude. A friend of mine lived in Florida and had the license plate bollocks, but spelt BOLLOX. And because bollocks is with a CKS at the end isn't even really known in America, they said that was absolutely fine. Another friend of mine had Soccer One, which was very cool. Now, to try and have Soccer One in the UK would probably cost you £250,000. In America, as long as nobody else has it in your state, you're allowed to have make up your own license plate, which I think is very, very cool. It's less
egotistical.
Yes, less egotistical. No, well, it's more expensive in the UK. I think I meant egalitarian. It's less egalitarian in the UK. In America, it's like, yeah, you can have it if you want it. In the UK, I believe Paul Daniels, the former magician, had magic wand that
he
cost
did.
him an absolute fortune. I think my dad has part of his registration is JAG because his name is John Albert Green, but it's not on a Jag, it's on a Honda, which I love because he has thought about buying a Jag, but he realises they're made of cardboard and they'll cost a fortune to keep on the road.
Yes.
I digress. It's time for my rant, and it's time for me to get on my high horse and ascend the soapbox and the speaker's corner. That is the show, and generally moan like a whinging pom about one subject or another. And this week I've decided to target my bile upon the general public. Yes, the great unwashed out there, some of which probably almost certainly do constitute our audience. Yes, my rant this week is to encourage all of you to stay inside your homes and do not bother me on the street. During these rather uncertain times, as coronavirus, or as we like to call it here on Car-Boyz, Cortina 19 sweeps the nation, I'm amazed at the amount of idiots are out there behaving like it's another ordinary day. At the post office, a woman in front of me is laughing and joking with the staff, all of which had no gloves, no masks. Meanwhile, I'm dressed in a full 19th century diving suit with a helmet on. When I see groups of kids sharing hits of weed, cycling around my local park, or dickheads drinking cider by the river, to be honest, I couldn't care less about the health of these spotty little gits. I'm more afraid of catching our modern version of the Black Death. And to turn the clock back more than 500 years to Tudor times, and England's King Henry VIII, when a plague, the Black Death, or some other malady would sweep the nation, our monarch would take to his bed and not return to public life for 6 months. And that's why he died of syphilis and obesity, and not the plague. Now, whilst it seems a little bit over the top, I can think of all of us can manage to wash our hands, wear gloves and masks while we go about our daily business. It's not as if I'm asking you to wear a Venetian plague mask or carry a bell shouting the words unclean, unclean. But it might be an idea. Maybe we could also paint a little red X on the houses that do have COVID-19. That might be going a little bit too far. No, what I'd like is for the general public to exercise caution and be a little sensible. I worked out in Southeast Asia for a number of years, and lots of people I knew wore masks to go to work. Firstly, to stop the pollution from the crazy traffic of Kuala Lumpur or Bangkok getting into their lungs, but also to wear a mask to work if they had a cold. Yes, to stop others getting infected at work, they'd wear a mask. They'd also wash their hands. How considerate. It's not effing rocket science. I feel the general public need to be hit over the head with a bat to get them to do some of the basic things to keep our nation healthy. We need to relaunch the old World War II campaign. Cold and sneezes spread diseases. Because, and let's face it, after all, the general public is a complete moron and does not seem to respond to slick advertising campaigns. The Australians have got the right idea. They aim all of their public service adverts at the very lowest common denominator. I was on a train once in Western Australia and I saw an advert that said words to the effect, "Hey Lydia, keep your voice down on the mobile phone. We all don't want to know you've got chlamydia." Honestly, I swear to God, that's what the advert said. Also,
Nice.
What does constitute a key worker? Doctors, yes. Nurses, yes. Yes to bin men. I need my rubbish collecting, or the foxes seem to dominate my neighbourhood. We'll literally take it over. I'm still going to work as a media broadcasting type. I'm sure not. That's not quite necessary. Although I am having fun giving weird names to the security guards at my work's car park. I know I work for a specific news organisation, but they don't seem to care what name I give. I'm guessing most of conscientious ones are sort of self-isolating. But so far this week, for the security guards, I have been Miles Davis, then John Coltrane, and then Brian May. And yesterday, I was the former lead singer of AC/DC, Bon Scott, who's been dead for 40 years. But I digress. What I'm saying is, stay inside your house, try not to murder the family, and if you must go outside, wear a mask and wash your hands, you dirty, dirty people. Just make sure that you're not trying to blame for the continued spread of this thing, because at some point, I desperately need to escape from my family and go down the pub.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you mentioned you called yourself Brian May. So yes, stay indoors. But what Brian May's been doing, and he's been self-isolating.
Oh yes,
he's got a guitar with him, not his actual guitar, but he's got a guitar with him, and he's doing like little lessons so you can learn how to play some of his tracks. So that's quite good. On the other hand, James Blunt, he did tweet. I do like James Blunt's tweets. He said his tweet was, during the lockdown, while many other artists are doing mini concerts from their homes, I thought I'd do you all a favour and
not do any. That's fantastic.
And-
The sound of silence from James Blunt brings a smile to my face.
And also brownie points for you for referencing Henry VIII.
Yes.
Which is good, because for our international listeners, of course, he was King of England, but he was also a hit for Herman's Hermits in 1965 as well.
And let's face it, we all want to wake up each morning feeling fine.
Exactly.
Did you know that the lead singer of Herman's Hermits was related to Judith Chalmers?
Yes.
They look very similar.
They look very
similar. Should we get on with some? Actually, what I was going to say before we get on with the news, which I'm going to do in a second.
Yes.
It must be crazy for me because I'm not a singleton. You're a singleton and you're self-isolating. So
Yes.
Are you going slightly mad?
I am. There's lots of things planning to do, but not actually doing them.
What I think will happen, I think alcoholism is going to be go on the rise because there's nothing to do but stay home and drink and Netflix and chill and Netflix and chill. Referencing that, if you're on your own, I mean, really, you are on your own, but you'll be doing that chilling with it on your own. So hopefully, lots of kitchen towel and baby oil. But if you are, I think there's going to be a lot of COVID babies in about 9 months.
Yes, that's probably going to happen, yeah.
Nothing else to do but stay at home and, produce more children. I'm hoping that's not going to happen to me. I've got 2. That's more than enough. Should we have some news?
Yes, go to the news. And first up this week in the news is, thank God we can all keep smoking news, the planned rollout of clean air zones, otherwise known as CAS, in the UK, has been halted until 2021 to allow the government and businesses to focus.
Sorry.
On overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
The decision was confirmed by a junior minister, because they couldn't wheel out the actual minister, for the Department for Food, Environment, and the right answer, and Rural Affairs, which is otherwise known as DEFRA. The implementation will be postponed until at least January 2021 due to it being a difficult time for the industry, which is coming under increased pressure to deliver goods around the country despite staff numbers falling and the impact of social distancing rules. The CAS planned for cities including Bristol, Birmingham, and we've mentioned this on the show before, and the likes of Leeds are set to limit the number of polluting vehicles entering the city centre during certain periods, much like London's existing ULEZ, otherwise known as Ultra Low Emissions Zone.
Thank you.
Some went further, with Bristol proposing a ban on privately owned diesel vehicles between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day and charge high polluting commercial vehicles for the privilege. Both Birmingham and Leeds City Councils have written to DEFRA in the past week to request a delay on the rollout of these programmes. Natalie Chapman from the Freight Transport Association said, she doesn't sound like this, but this is what she said, with the industry focusing all its attention on ensuring the public supermarkets and other retailers continue to receive the essential items they need during the pandemic, logistics businesses simply do not have the resources to dedicate to preparing for the imminent introduction of CAS.
Clean air zones, good idea.
Yes.
But I think they put the cart before the horse here. So, because I don't think the freight transport industry was not ready with new trucks and new lorries to take the stuff into the cities. They were completely, this was just thrown upon them, some of which had already bought vehicles that were going to be banned from the ultra low emission zones, or CASs as they're being called. So that was a really bad idea anyway. I hate to say it, mate, do not hold your breath on this one, because I think, like the little girl Greta Thunberg, you are not going to hear about this again. I think this is going to get
you
gotten. How dare? Yes, I know. We're never going to. I don't think we're. I think with all this going on, the last thing we give a shit about is a little bit of pollution.
Exactly.
Nobody gives a crap. Strangely, I used to know a girl called Kaz, and unlike this government policy, she was absolutely filthy. Moving swiftly on in a Corona industry round, she was. if memory serves me right.
Tell me later.
Yeah, I'll tell you later. I'll fill you. Do you think if we get people to pay for another actually pay for a part of the show, we can do our filthy stories? Okay. Moving on. In our Corona car industry roundup news, production facilities are being closed around the world. The dramatic stock market falls has hit the value of virtually every car firm. Vehicle sales are dropping dramatically. Almost all major motorsports events have been cancelled, but the car industry is running around to help tackle the pandemic and whilst factories are being shut down. So former McLaren boss Ron Dennis has launched an initiative to supply 1 million free meals to the NHS frontline staff treating coronavirus patients. I didn't remember the McLaren making fantastic meals, but that apparently is it. The SaluteTheNHS.org scheme was launched with £1 million funding. They funded it from Dennis's Dream Chasing Charity Fund, which is headed by Dennis and Nigel Harris, the boss of catering firm Absolute Taste. I think I've had some of their food. I think they're quite nice. Dennis apparently co-founded that. So they're going to be supplying meals made by Tesco, so possibly have some horse meat in there, and Absolute Taste, and delivering to hospitals nationwide, starting with John Ratcliffe in Oxford and Great Ormond Street. So that's very good news. So they're doing something there. New visors have been designed at the Advanced Production Creation Centre in Garden in consultation with NH staff by Jaguar Land Rover, initially aiming to produce 1,300 units a week. With its prototype build operations, it will then work with other companies producing Pro-to-Pro in Telford to further increase production. These visors have been tested by Great Western Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust and South Warwickshire's NHS. The device is designed to be easily dismantled and cleaned so it can be used again, helping to combat equipment shortages. I know somebody I work with who's making these at home. He's ordered tons and tons of Perspex. His wife's a doctor, from Amazon. And he's making these visors which cover the whole face. It makes you look like a welder. Jaguar Land Rover intend to open source CAD design files available to other manufacturers so they can print visors. So I've got family that work for JLR Group. So well done to all you guys. Seat, a latest car brand to start producing ventilators, having started producing units at the Martorell factory near Barcelona for healthcare authorities. The automated ventilators were designed by a team of engineers and are now undergoing final testing before approval is given for mass production. They're basically using adapted parts from Seat cars, so I'm assuming air filters. Also, windscreen wiper motors are being used, gearbox shafts, and printed
for you to say.
Yes, it is. My teeth. Well, it's not. It would appear not. 150 employees will produce those. So, all good news.
And more good news, actually, from the motor world. Despite the coronavirus, Toyota and Lexus are offering free roadside assistance for all key workers who drive one of their cars or vans, regardless of its age. The firms have teamed up with the AA for the initiative, which will be available until further notice. Peugeot, Citroën and DS will join fellow PSA Group brand Vauxhall in offering its roadside assistance program to all NHS workers who drive one of their vehicles, regardless of age. I'm assuming that's regardless of age of the car, not the person. The Ford UK has taken several steps to aid healthcare workers, local authorities, charities and volunteers, including loaning out of 170 of its vehicles to support transport efforts. It has also donated personal protective equipment, otherwise known as PPE, from its plants to local healthcare authorities, with its Bridgend plant donating 13,500 pairs of gloves, where they normally make engines, 150 disposable safety suits and a large stock of protective glasses. Meanwhile, Ford's Dunton research plant, which is in Essex, is currently trialling the fabrication of protective face shields. Formula One, Williams Advanced Engineering is one of the number of car firms to part of a consortium helping to re-engineer an existing ventilator design in response to Ventilator Challenge UK project. The firm, which is formed by Williams' F1 team to apply technology it had developed in other industries, is working with firms including McLaren, Airbus, who make planes, Rolls-Royce, Siemens and BAR Systems to re-engineer a Smiths Group. I hope that's not Smiths Groups who used to make the dials for cars.
Or the crisps.
Because they were unreliable, yeah.
Yes, the Smiths clocks were terrible, weren't they? Yeah. Weren't they
I
in Land
remember
Rovers?
they're on everything. They're on Morris Oxfords, all of them,
Yeah.
Smith Styles.
Yeah.
But they're all part of the Smiths Group Para PAC 300 ventilator design in order to rapidly manufacture 5,000 units for the NHS. Skoda is helping charities and volunteers in the Czech Republic by giving them free access to more than 200 vehicles and 150 electric scooters used by the Hoppy Go car sharing platform, which I don't think we have here in the UK.
No.
The firm is also working with the Czech Technology University in Prague to develop a 3D printing process to produce ventilators. In other corona news, as it's all about the corona,
Yes.
this weekend should be the inaugural Vietnam Grand Prix. So the sports bosses have staged in the second F1 eSport Virtual Grand Prix. 5 current drivers have signed up so far: Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Alex Albon, and George Russell, and Nicholas Latifi, which is quite funny because I did see a clip of this, and one of the drivers just decided that he'd go on the parade lap, which is quite
brilliant.
funny. Those 5 will be joined by an assortment of random guest stars, including F1 race winner Johnny Herbert, who led the first virtual Grand Prix after massively cutting the first turn, and cricket star Ben Stokes. With the new Hannay circuits not to feature in the F1 2019 game, this weekend's event will be staged at Albert Park, which is used for the Australian Grand Prix. The event starts at 2000 hours on Sunday, and coverage will be on Sky Sports F1, which should be good if you've got that here in the UK. I think you get that in Europe as well. The postponed Beijing Motor Show, originally due to run later this month, has been rescheduled until September this year.
So it's quite good news that they're being as creative as they can. I assume what they're going to do with this Sky Sports on F1 is show drivers in boxes playing the game from their homes.
Exactly. They take your money from their subscription and they'll put drivers in boxes. And...
Yes. That will be interesting. And it's good news that the car industry has responded to the crisis very well. And I know it's terrible news, but the good side of it for me is, because apparently I am a key worker, is my commute has gone from an hour to about 20 minutes.
Wow, that is really good.
It is frightening, and that's even during rush hour. It is. Every time I get in the car and driving around London, it feels like it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I keep getting to work 45 minutes earlier, going, "Oh, why am I? What?" And obviously, I'm having fun with the guys that manage the car park at work. Maybe people could write in with names I should suggest. I want to see how far I can push it before I start to say things like Tom Cruise and Mel Gibson. Working, the names, the pseudonyms I want to use. I'm using more obscure names at the moment. Meanwhile, in better news for motorists, for Britain anyway, fuel prices have fallen to almost £1 a litre for the first time since 2016, with some stations charging even less. Early April, the cheapest petrol on the market was being sold at £1. 100 and hang on, how do I say this?
102.7
pence. Okay. So just over £1 a litre via a major supermarket. The AA said that in some petrol stations in Northern Ireland and Birmingham, petrol prices have been spotted for less than £1. Petrol price slump started in early March when the coronavirus outbreak started, and it hit oil countries such as the Middle East, large parts of Europe and America. Oil prices fell following failed talks between Saudi Arabia and Russia over plans to cut production during the pandemic. And as a result, Saudi Arabia ramped up its output. Oil prices quickly tumbled to nearly half their old price. At the same time, travel restrictions, particularly among airlines, saw the demand for petrol and diesel drop. In March, the price of oil fell below $25 a barrel, the lowest level since 2002. I'll add to this, there is also plans to make a new pipeline from Israel via Cyprus and into Europe, which would cut out the need to go Russia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Europe.
Ooh.
So there's another route to get oil into Europe, which means hopefully increased competition and prices come down. But drivers could still struggle to see the benefit because retailers chose to keep the going rate. So retailers such as supermarkets tend not to reduce prices quickly when oil prices fall, but raise them rapidly when it rises. But then one does take action. All big supermarkets have dropped their prices. Now, listeners in America may balk at the cost of prices in the UK. Prices in the US are half again the cost of the UK. So 63 cents a litre.
Wow.
In America, which is insane, as opposed to $1.10 in the UK. But we all have to think and put a thought for Iran, an oil producer in its own right. Iranians woke up last week on Friday morning to discover petrol prices had jumped 50% overnight. As authorities in the Islamic Republic reduced subsidies as part of efforts to offset the impact of US sanctions and the sharp fall in its income. So Tehran authorities announced that each motorist would get 60 litres of petrol a month at Iranian IRs, 15,000 a litre, a 50% price increase. Extra fuel would still be available, but at IR 30,000 a litre.
What?
So 50% and then double it again, 100%. The move comes after President Hassan Rouhani acknowledged this week that Iran faced a huge fall in its flow of petrol dollars, the country's lifeline, because of US sanctions introduced last year. I think I smell a coup d'etat on the way. I'm just saying, people are not going to be impressed.
Quite possibly. Wow, that's absolutely crazy. So 100. So it's gone up 50%, and then on top of that, another
100%. If you want more, yeah,
of course,
good.
I want more. I want more. Yeah. And finally, in sexy sports car news, and if you visited us on Facebook, we'll give you all the details later on. There is actually a picture of this car. The Polestar. Polestar has released images of its Precept saloon concept. That's an easy one to say, which hints at the future Tesla S model rival expected to arrive in the next few days. The concept, which was first unveiled in February, is described by Polestar CEO Thomas Engelther as a model, I guess in his Swedish, as a model which he has real relevance to the forthcoming products. He says, Precept shows you that there will be where we'll be heading, our design direction, our ambitions about sustainability and great digital user experience we will bring with those future cars. Precept showcase our future, not as a fancy dream or something out of a sci-fi movie. This is our reality to come, he says. The Precept is an... Yes, I know. It sounds like something else. The Precept is an electric four-door Grand Tourer, previewing future design direction as well as highlighting the Swedish company's plans for sustainable materials.
Phil Collins.
Studio and advanced digital technology. Polestar is an electric company jointly owned by Volvo and Chinese automaker Geely. Beautiful looking car.
It is an amazing looking car. Suicide doors, which is always a good one. It's electric, so let's see what it comes up with. We've got nobody's saying anything about whether we're going to be able, what the range of the thing's going to be. But it does look very nice. Love the big wheels on it. Yeah, why not? But to say this, these are Volvos that are going to be made in China. All of these are going to be made in China. At the moment.
That's not good, considering their build quality isn't the best.
No. So, well, let's see. I mean, Tesla have got factories in China. I'm not sure. I don't think we know what Tesla's build quality is. It's going to be too soon to say. I think, as we mentioned last week on the show, we're going to have problems with batteries.
Yes.
Batteries is going to be the big thing, and that again has not really been addressed by any of the major manufacturers, and also the supply of electricity, which, as we're currently finding out at the moment, is we're going to have brownouts. Because you can hear my children are trying to attack the studio at the moment. Self-isolating is so much fun. Shall we have some classic car selection?
Yes, go for it.
Here's the band.
Nice.
Oh yeah. There they go. Yay. All right, lads, that's enough. Yeah.
Thanks,
enough.
Dizzy. Thanks, Dizzy.
That's Dizzy. That's John. Oh. They're very cheap. They're very cheap, and they're royalty free.
I think they are available for hire. So classic car this week. If I said to you that you could have a fully rally-bred car that has all the luxuries of a Bavarian executive saloon, the practicality of any European car, and the technology of a Japanese manufacturer, you'll be hard pushed to come up with this week's classic. This week's classic is the Mitsubishi Galant VR4, because it was exactly that. VR4, which stands for Viscous Real-Time Four-Wheel Drive, for all you nerds out there, was the range-topping version of the Galant, with the model that we're concentrating is going to be the 8th generation model, which was between 1996 and 2002. Originally, it was designed to meet the new Group A regulations of the World Rally Championship, but as soon it was superseded by Mitsubishi's competition vehicle by the Lancer Evolution, which all those kids are driving around these days. It was described as being too big and ungainly, where its competitors were moving to smaller cars. So, for example, Ford, they moved from Sierra Sapphire Cosworth to the Escort Cosworth. Subaru moved from Legacy to Impreza, and Toyota moved from Celica to Corolla or Corona, whichever you want to call them. Since it was no longer had to comply with the WRC regulations, the engine capacity was enlarged substantially to 2.5 litres and a V6 from 2 litre, which pushed the power up by 15% to the Japanese voluntary limit of 276 horsepower, but no longer satisfies the Japanese regulations concerning engine displacement size, and as a result, Japanese buyers were then liable for additional yearly tax requirements on those cars. The car was now capable of 150 miles an hour and could accelerate to 60 miles an hour in 5.3 seconds where you can. Not bad for a vehicle that is weighing 1.5 tons. It also offered an estate version too. It was specified. You could specify it with either a 5-speed manual or the option of a self-learning 5-speed semi-automatic gearbox, which was actually based on Porsche's Tiptronic transmission. Mitsubishi used the Galant to showcase its technology prowess and included the active yaw control and rear diff from the Evolution 4. In fact, the Galant shared many of its tech parts from the Lancer Evos of that time. North America and Europe were denied this model in showrooms, but a burgeoning grey import trade meant that it developed a cult following in several overseas territories, especially here in the UK and New Zealand. That said, in the year 2000, Mitsubishi's motorsport partner Rally Art was contracted to type approved Galants and Lancers for sales in UK, and 200 VR4s were officially imported before production finally ceased 2 years later due to expensive build costs and no market interest. So, what do you look for? Well, they are built really well, being Japanese, and reliability is excellent. The higher spec examples were pitched more towards the executive saloons, despite having the wrong badge on the bonnet. Running costs were relatively low, but spares may be pricey, so just be careful. Check the engine for noises, which usually means it's the hydraulic followers that are a problem on these cars. Also check the timing belt history. It suggested they're changed every 50,000 miles, and combined with a service, this too could also be pricey. So if you're also hearing noises from the rear of the car, because you always worry when you hear noises from the rear, the oil in the yaw control rear diff needs changing. So again, that might be pricey. So how much would you pay for a rally-bred alternative to the Evo? How much were you prepared to set you back? Well, prices start from £5,000, but I looked online today and found a 1998 VR4 2.5 litre V6 twin turbo with 93,000 miles on the clock in white, up in Scotland for £7,500. So it's not too bad.
No, not at all.
So considering it's an alternative to the Evo, which is in its bloodlines, I think that's a bargain. £7,500.
You are going to get these cheaper than the Evo. Unfortunately, that's going to be balanced out with the fact there were more Evos.
Yes.
So the likelihood is these are going to be slightly more expensive. You're probably a bit more picky with an Evo as opposed to the Galant. I'd forgotten about this car, and it's that sweet spot that people forget about. The mid-90s to the mid-2000s, I think technology really hit a zenith in car production, and there's not too many computers. There's not too much techie build quality from the Japanese was still really, really good.
Yeah.
You can, if you want to, work on this car yourself.
I think that's probably one of the things, especially with cost being so high and not many Mitsubishi dealers around. You could probably work on these cars yourself. So not bad.
So that sounds like a nice little car. Well done, you. I do remember as a kid, everybody was either in the Mitsubishi camp or the Subaru camp.
Yes.
The boy racers, when I grew up in the countryside, you either had an Evo or you had
an Impreza.
There was a few Mitsubishi 3000 GTs, and I vaguely remember the Gallants, and I certainly remember the Rally Art versions. And I'm guessing there's quite a few grey imports on the market as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I said you can pick some up quite cheaply, but you spend a little bit more money getting something with a lot less mileage.
Yeah.
So about £7,500 will do it.
Fantastic. Well done. More on that next week. Right now, though, let's head over to Lost Highways.
Here comes Hank.
There he is. Yeah, that's enough. Thank you. They're good, this band. They do country and western, jazz. Later on, they'll be doing a bit of game show music. Yes, it's
Fantastic.
time for Lost Highways. It's our feature where the listeners email in and give us their favourite roads. The reason why they love them. It could be a quiet coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight 2-lane blackdrop that leads to infinity and invites you to gun the pedal to the metal. Whatever your poison is, let us know your perfect driving road here at Car-Boyz. At the moment, it's probably straight to the supermarket and straight back home. You can get in touch with the boys at car-boys with a Z, always with a Z, at outlook.com. Car-boys with a Z at outlook.com. Email the show. Facebook, we're car-boys with a Z at car-boys 4 Zs on the end. Twitter, car-boys with a Z at car_boys with a Z. And Instagram,
car_boys with 3 Zs.
Fantastic. First off, we've got an email from Fergus in Fermanagh. He says one of the greatest driving roads in Northern Ireland, known as the Giant's Causeway coastal route. It goes from Belfast in the south to Derry or Londonderry in the north. Known as one of the world's great drives, the 120-mile Causeway coastal route hugs the coastline of Northern Ireland, and it's more popular than ever, thanks to TV's Game of Thrones, apparently. I've never watched it.
Never seen it.
Apparently, it's about dragons and tits, from what I've heard.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but I've never bothered to watch it. Belfast is home to the studios where the series is shot. There's the brilliant Titanic Belfast exhibition as well. Belfast have got a lot to be proud of engineering-wise, haven't they? There's the Titanic. That's right next to where we used to make the DeLoreans. There are plenty of attractions along the way, including the dramatic tubular suspension bridges of the Goblins, Carrick Ared Rope Bridge, and beautiful Ballintoy Harbour. But it's dramatic Giant's Causeway that is the highlight, a geological wonder. You can walk across the intriguing polygonal stones, 40,000 interlocking basalt columns. I've never been here, which result in an ancient volcanic eruption. Now, you've got some brisk sea air on the way. You might need something to drink to warm your soul, says Fergus. You can go to the Old Bushmills Distillery. Fantastic. They've got the thing. It's the oldest working distillery on the island and has been producing single malt in the tiny village of Bushmills since 1608, which, in my opinion, it is a great whiskey, Bushmills, because you're not far from Islay, where they make some of the greatest whiskies in the world.
Yes.
So you have the same terroir, as they say. If you want to feel refreshed, once you're refreshed, I should say, you can. The next stop along the road is the dramatic ruins of Dunluce. I think I'm saying that right, or Dunluce Castle. The crumbling 14th century castle is perched right up the sea's edge, looking through. You can topple away, looking as if it would topple into the waves at any moment. It's a quiet spot to reflect before reaching the end of your journey at Derry or Londonderry, the island's oldest fully intact walled city. It's steeped in history, guaranteed to convince you to prolong your adventure. Sounds like fun, especially the whiskey.
Absolutely.
It does. I've been to Northern Ireland quite a few times to see family there. I've never done this route, but it does sound like it's good fun. Hopefully, somebody out there will be able to enjoy it soon, because we're not enjoying anything at the moment.
And we are big whiskey fans here. So
We are.
if you want to send us some whiskey or
We will
support us,
gratefully accept it as long as the bottle is open.
exactly. And now we have another email. This time it's from Tom in New South Wales, Australia. He says he says a really underappreciated drive is the A1, not in England.
What, from London up to Sheffield?
Which stretches from Sydney to Brisbane.
Oh, sorry, the other one. Sorry,
it's the Australian one.
Okay.
He reckons a stretch from Newcastle, not Britain, to Byron Bay is the best, with more than 600 miles of uninterrupted highway. And known as the legendary Pacific Coast Drive, you'll see spectacular scenery along the way, from rolling green heatherland dotted with macadamia farms and banana plantations to rugged national parks and great surf beaches. The Central Coast and Port Stephens region are known for wonderful beaches and beautiful sheltered bays, perfect for families as well as swimming, snorkeling and kayaking. The ocean beaches here are sublime and great for surfing on and beach walks as well. Driving the roads is pretty easy for those who are used to busy city roads. It's quiet at most stages, but watch out for occasional potholes. We've got those in London, and the sudden appearance of large trucks and lorries carrying timber. You can get into a world of your own and suddenly find a truck hard on your heels. But you can occasionally let it rip and enjoy some amazing coastal drives while you end up in Byron Bay. Stay a few days. It's a nature's lover's paradise with dolphins, whales and sea turtles.
That's a long drive.
600 miles.
That's a long drive. I've driven in Australia, and you totally underestimate how much driving you will do.
Hence why you go into a world of your own and find a truck.
I think that's the problem. You also do find that once you're out of the cities, you don't see cars for hours, and what we would consider a long. You would not drive 3 to 4 hours to get to a beach for a day in the UK, but you sort of have to in Australia. And the roads are nicer, it's a more relaxing, but you do end up going into your own little world. I remember hiring this huge Holden to go down to the beach outside of Melbourne, and I'm looking on the map going, this is going to be an hour, 3 hours till we got there.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So it really, your distances are I would say if you are going to drive in Australia, just hire the car with the biggest engine.
Yes, and cruise.
And just stick it in auto. Oh, and beware, speed cameras in Australia are hidden.
Yes.
Bastards. They say hide the speed cameras. So
find a koala or kangaroo or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just beware of that. As we mentioned, if you want to get your lost highway, the specific road that you think is fantastic to drive, just get in touch with us at Car-Boyz on the usual methods. Of course, you email us at car, and all my notes are going everywhere now. Car-Boyz with a Z at outlook.com. We're at Facebook as well. Cars-Boys at Car-Boyz with 4 Zs. Twitter, Car-Boyz at Car_Boys with a Z. And I believe we're on Instagram.
Yep, Car_Boys with 3 Zs.
Fantastic. And now it's that point in the show. Well, I have to say, it's time for the mailbag.
Just bringing the mailbag in.
Okay, yeah. Wow, it's large and overflowing. Well, that's enough of that. That was our tribute to 1970s and 1980s kids' TV show. Was it called Tony Hart? What was it called?
Heartbeat? Or was that in the 80s?
Heartbeat.
Hearts.
Basically, it was this guy called Tony Hart that we all thought was gay, who used to wear an ascot, and that the opener to pictures from the youngsters was very similar to that, although not the same. The gallery. It's time for our letters in the mailbag.
Speaking of Tony the Tiger, that's great. Emails from Liverpool.
Hello.
He says he has a 2005 Mondo petrol car with
Nice.
85,000 miles on the clock, regularly serviced. He bought it a few weeks ago and he can't get the heated front windscreen to work. Any ideas? He said it cost him around £1,000 and there's been no other problems with it. It also has a great 2-litre engine. What he doesn't say is it the whole screen that's not working or part of it? Because it's designed so that occasionally, if things go wrong, only half the screen will work. So that's that.
What is that now? Is that the driver's half or the passenger's half?
I can't remember which
bottom
one.
half or the top half?
It'll be driver or passenger side.
That'd be great. So it's clear on the passenger side all the time, but the driver's side is completely F.
Yes, and it's something to do with the contacts and how the screen is bonded onto the car, or it might be there's some stone chips in there, which occasionally might mean that some of the elements go wonky donkey.
Break the circuit, I suppose.
Yes,
there are 2 fuses with this. We had a look online that go into the screen, so they might have blown. So check the 2 flip fuses. If not, don't worry. Forget about it. Just imagine you're driving a car without heated front windscreen. This is a Ford thing.
Yes.
I had an Escort, and I think to replace the heated front windscreen, I had an Escort that ended up. I think I sold it £500. The heated front windscreen, to replace that would cost me £1,000. Yes. So if this thing has gone, don't worry about it. Just move on. You're driving £1,000 car. Just be happy that everything else works. But I would check the fuses first. But they are. Does anybody else make this for cars?
So what's happened was Ford had the patent on it for about 30 years.
Right.
And now you're finding Audi have got it, BMW have got it, Mini have got it. But two things. One, the 2 fuses, that indicates which side of the screen works. That's why there's 2 fuses.
Right.
Or alternatively, and I'm not endorsing this at all whatsoever, you could do an Elon Musk, surely, and take a brick to it and claim on the insurance, surely.
Yes, but I don't think you're in. Yeah, I like that idea. What? It was a stone chip.
Yes.
Why is there a brick in the passenger seat? I've no idea, mate. Big stone. Because if he's got, but he might not have windscreen insurance. That's what he needs to make sure. Because replacing a windscreen is about £75. So that's going to be an option. But I guarantee they'll replace it with a screen with no heater. I almost guarantee, because you'll take it to one of these places, these glass. Auto glass or whatever, and they will not carry that. They'll say we've got it, but it doesn't have the electrical element in. I'm almost certain of that. So if it's knackered, sod it, live with it, Tony. Because if you like the car, and I do remember the cars from this era. They were the last of the Mondeos. Really, they were really nice, and especially with the 2-litre engine, it's got some guts. So live with it, enjoy it. As we say, have a look at the fuses. If it's not them, just go, well, you're like the rest of us that don't have a heated front windscreen. Meanwhile, we go further afield. We're going to New York, and Catherine emails the show. She lives in New Rochelle, which is in the suburb of the city, I think to the north. She wants to get some sort of transport to get in and out of Manhattan, NYC. She's ridden a motorbike in the past, but she would prefer a car, although she knows how expensive parking in Manhattan can be. Parking in New York is just, unless you're a stockbroker, is unaffordable. It's insane. I think you're looking at over $60, $70 a day.
What?
At least, yeah. Traffic's a nightmare as well. Now, I had a look online. This is a 16-mile journey she's going to have to do from New Rochelle. And you can do it on public transport. Probably not. You probably can't do anything at the moment in New York.
Not at the moment.
But so that's going to be about half an hour to an hour plus in rush hour if she goes by car. So car parking is the main issue. There's people paying the same amount for a parking space in Manhattan as they're paying for their apartment.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I thought a compromise. Now, a friend of mine lives in New York, and he's got himself a little scooter. And I started thinking, well, how about a scooter? But how about a motorcycle with a roof?
Oh, yeah.
A BMW C1. Now, they're 2,200 cc, so they're not really fast, but it's a nice little commuting motorcycle. Online, I had a quick look. In the States, she could get one for $3,000.
Okay.
So it's a good way of saying, well, it's not quite a car, it's not quite a motorbike. Alternatively, what about a Piaggio MP3? That's going to cost you around $8,000 for a brand new one. That doesn't have a roof, but what it does have is two wheels in the front, so it's a three-wheel, and it makes it a little bit more stable. So I'm assuming the problem she's saying. So I don't mind riding a motorcycle, but the parking is the big thing here, not the fact that I'm going to be on a motorbike. I'd get something like that.
Yeah.
Or just go down the route of just getting a 250cc little motorbike, because I'm pretty sure parking is almost free for those in New York. I haven't been to Manhattan for about 4 years. In fact, the last time I went, I had such a good time. I came back with a pregnant wife. Also, we had obviously so far too much fun. We should have called him Marriott Suites. That's where he was considered. But I digress. The traffic in Manhattan is insane. I would never.
Wow.
I haven't driven in Bangkok. I've driven a lot of different places. It's up there with Bangkok for crazy traffic. It makes central London look like a village.
Oh dear. So that's our advice for you.
Yeah.
Get a little scooter. That's probably the best thing to do. Yeah. Next one comes from who's this from? Steve0333's COVID-19 or Cortina-19 is driving him absolutely crazy. He's from Perth, Western Australia, and is bored out of his mind. He is locked down with his entire family and dreams of the open road. We all do. He's been going to take a trip up the coast after this is all over. What should he go? What should he buy to go on for a 9-hour road trip? Blimey.
Okay.
Up the coast to Carnarvon, which is 550 miles. He said he has 3,000 Aussie dollars to spend. You drongos?
I don't know. It's Carnarvon, I think. They might pronounce it differently in Australia.
Okay.
Because it's a Welsh.
Carnarvon.
Carnarvon. There you go. There's lovely. There's Simon Suji.
Lovely boy.
His Indian accent is fantastic. There you go. That's lovely. How about some dal? Okay, right. I had a look at this. Now, if he wants to take one person, single passenger, I thought an MX-5 maybe.
Yes, that could work.
You could get a rough one, a 20-year-old one, for about 3,000 Aussie dollars. And they're fantastic quality. I had a friend of mine had a J-Reg MX-5, and he toured Europe for 2 months in it. He was working in television, and all his contracts came to an end, and he went and bought £1,000 MX-5 and went out to Europe. And we didn't see him. He went to Germany, Austria, or across the Italian Alps, all the way down into Italy, caught a ferry to Corfu, drove around Corfu, went into mainland Greece. He went everywhere. Got a suntan, stayed in loads of came back with all these stories and probably a few diseases. Didn't break down once. So
wow.
Now, if he's going to take the family, Subaru Outback's going to cost you about $3,000. To get a good one, that's going to be about 12 years old. You can get the entire family in the back, and if you're not bringing the family, you can fold down the seats and you can kip in the back as well. He's not going to do this 9-hour road trip in one 550 miles in one go.
No.
Ford Falcon XT to stay properly Aussie. 15-year-old one for that budget. Fast saloon car.
Yeah,
and you can pretend you're Mad Max Road Warrior. So he's got lots of options there. I like the idea of an MX-5 because you can have the roof down, and if you've had enough of the entire family, Steve-O,
good idea.
You might not want to bring anybody, just you and the car and the open road and a few tinnies. Oh, I must tell you my Australian story. Had a friend of mine who worked in, I think it was in Broome in Northern Territories, and she was talking to some truck drivers that used to do the top of Australia all the way to the bottom in Adelaide via Alice Springs. And so she said, "Oh, how long does it take you to go to Alice Springs?" And he went, "Well, that's probably about 15 tins." And she was like, "Is this a trucker acronym for miles? What do you mean? Is that hours?" Do you mean, "No, sweetheart, 15 tins of lager." to get you to Alice Springs. I think the thing is, it does probably take you 20 hours, but
Wow.
a little tin of lager, you probably still start to sober up as you're driving. I wouldn't advise drinking 15 tins of lager in one go and then getting into a truck, but that's the way it worked out for them. Final letter. Amy in Colchester, Essex, loves the show. She has an issue with her tyres. She says they keep going down slowly, both the front ones, over a couple of weeks, and she's gotten into the habit of just taking it to the petrol station and reinflating it. Is there a problem, or should she just carry on? Her car is front-wheel drive. Yes, there is a problem. You've got two slow punctures on your front wheels. This, because they're going down, will mean you're wearing the tread on the front wheels in strange places. So it will probably be completely bald in certain places, which is illegal in the UK, not to our listeners in Africa or most parts of Asia. It's dangerous at high speeds or on wet roads, so you've got no tread left. I would take it to a tyre fitters, get two new or part-worn front wheels for the front, depending on your budget, and get the tyre fitter to check the wheels on the back as well, and check that you have a spare, check that that's legal. Part-worn tyres are legal in the UK. In fact, I put a part-worn on mine about 2 years ago, and I got 2 years out of it. I've literally just replaced it because he didn't have anything else in, and I'm really dodgy about you're like me. You remember growing up in the 90s and getting remolds.
Yes.
The remolded tyres were really, really deadly. Sounds like one of our listeners going past now. But part-worn, Europe has a lot stricter, stringent laws regarding the wearing of tyres. Part-worn tyres can be a way to go if she wants to save a little bit of cash. Your tyre dealer will know about it.
Two things about that. One, in Europe, don't they all have to be the same brand as well, or the same tyre all round? I think so. I heard somewhere that
absolutely insane.
They all need to be the same ones. And two, when she takes a car to get the tyres done, just check it's front-wheel drive. Check the tracking and the suspension for any play on that, because that might be causing the tyres to wear down and then causing a slow puncture. Now,
my tyre guy is absolutely fantastic. He's so good. He used to be Mike Reed's tyre guy. Remember, not Mike Reed, the DJ. No, Mike Reed from EastEnders, the actor Mike Reed. Actor and comedian Mike Reed. And my guy has spotted so many problems. He goes, "Yeah, that's out. So a good tyre guy will also be checking brakes are okay, that there's no wear due to other things. I was going to also say, don't go down the fallacy of getting particular branded tyres thinking they're going to be shit hot, because a lot of the time they're not. I said to my guy, he said, "What would you like on the car?" And I said, "I do not care what I have on the car." And he said, "Are you going to be going over 120 miles an hour? Are you going to be doing any track days?" I went, "Nope." He said, "Then put the cheapest tyres on, brand new cheap tyres, non-brand." He said they last exactly the same. They do exactly the same job. You will not notice really any change. And yes, you've got a very specific type of car, and unless you're going to do track days, you might as well go for the ones. And he said they all wear out at the same time, which he has told me is more like 15,000 miles than they used to be 25,000 miles. Which is
there's no money in that these days.
There's no money. If you would like to get your question to the mailbag, email the Car-Boyz at car-boys@outlook.com. We will endeavour to answer your questions. We're running out of time. The hour is nearly up. Shall we do a quiz?
Yes, do the quiz. Let's go for the music.
That's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Time now for the big quiz. Thank you. That's better. Oh, Rent-A-Crowd. So difficult to shut them up. This week, the big quiz is called What's My License Plate? Our competition is all about global brotherly love as we try to unite the nations of the world through the medium of motoring. We will therefore this week be asking a lucky contestant to answer, "What's my license plate?" Here I'll be giving him or her. I think it's a him. And it is a him. An international driving license country code. And they will have to tell me which country it's from. And like that British TV show from the 1980s, hosted by Henry Kelly, going for gold, all our questions will, of course, be asked in English, emphasising the truly international flavour of the quiz. Not really, but there you go. So if I was asked to ask our contestant the name of the country for which the acronym of the International License Plate Country Code is GB, that would, of course, be...
Great Britain.
Well done. Joining me this week is a young man from the home of Bruce Forsyth. No, not the sand trap at Wentworth. Hang on. Thank you. I'm here all week, twice on Wednesdays. But sunny Edmonton, it's Simon. Say hello, Simon.
Hello, Simon.
How's the family?
They're good. They're all in isolation, so everything's all fine.
Super, smashing, great. Now, well, the price on offer this week is all expenses paid round trip to your bathroom, via your kitchen and your back garden. Does that sound exciting?
Oh, it is very, very much so.
Let's see if we can win it for you. So, here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I will ask you the acronym, and then you have to give me the country you think it's from. So we're after in its international license plate country codes. Our first one, I will be giving you clues as well.
Okay.
AUS.
AUS. I'm guessing that AUS, I think that might be an easier one. So I'm guessing that's Australia?
Yes, my clue was going to be they like a good forest fire. That's right, Australia. Moving swiftly on.
Seems so long ago.
Question. It does, doesn't it? Why the fuck were we worried about that? We're worried about environment and a few trees burning down. Well, they're usually burning down, and currently it's like some dystopian future. Moving swiftly on. Question 2. BOL. BOL.
Bol. I'm going to have a guess on that one. I'm going to guess for Bolivia.
You're correct.
Hey.
Simon Bolivar is from there. Number question 3. RUS. RUS.
Russ. I'm going to guess that's Russia.
It is indeed the home of vodka, Russia. So far, you haven't got one wrong.
Ooh.
Number 4. S. A lonely S.
Oh.
I'll give you a clue.
Yes, please.
They like pickled fish.
Sweden?
You're correct. It was, of course, Sweden and not Switzerland. Moving on. Question 5. The letter T. Solo
T.
letter T.
T. Can I have a clue, please, Bob?
The clue is they do like their lady boys.
Thailand.
Thailand! Yay! How you knew the answer to that, I dare not answer. He has an active social life. Moving on. RM. This is going to be to confuse you. RM.
RM. I'm going to take a guess at... No, that would be RO. RM.
I'll give you a clue.
It's
a weird island near Africa.
Rodriguez.
Nah.
Okay.
I've really stumped you here. Well, I think it's a bit unfair. It's Republic of Madagascar.
Oh, okay.
What for. Moving swiftly on. Question 7.
Yes.
RWA.
RWA.
You're unlikely to see this international license plate country code on a car going around the North Circular. I'm sure that's part of the clue. RWA. The clue is they like gorillas and genocide.
I'm going to go for Rwanda.
Rwanda! They love a bit of genocide and a gorilla. So doing good so far, 6 out of 7. Moving swiftly on its own, the letter Q. The letter Q.
The letter Q. Oh, I didn't even know there's a country. Qatar?
Qatar. The clue was they produce oil. Like their women wrapped up. Okay, yes, doing well. 7 out of 8. Number 9, PNG. PNG. This is also the acronym for this country. Many people call this country by the letters PNG. The clue being they do like to hunt heads.
PNG. PNG. Oh, Papua New Guinea.
Hey, Papua New Guinea was the right answer.
Hey.
We've got another 3-letter acronym here. MGL.
MGL. MGL. No. Can I have a clue, please, Bob?
They have an inner and an outer. That's your clue. It's turning into Dusty Bin now, isn't it?
How obscure are these clues?
Oh, very obscure.
I don't know, Ted. I don't know.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. It was, of course, Mongolia. Inner and Outer Mongolia, MGL. And that Dusty's special clue would have taken you down a path. You would have thought of June Whitfield. June Whitfield, of course, married to Terry Scott. Scott of the Antarctic. The Antarctic, the opposite of the Antarctic, is the Arctic, where you find penguins. Penguins chocolate biscuits was the answer. Moving swiftly on, number 11. On its own, the letter L. The letter L.
Letter L. Country beginning with L.
Would you like a clue?
Yes, please.
It's very tiny. Very tiny. Tiny country. Small. Tiny. Not like China.
I don't know.
It was Luxembourg.
Oh, okay.
Question 12. GR.
I'm going to go for Greece.
You're correct. My clue was John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John were in the film. So that was, I get this right. So 9 out of 12 so far. Moving swiftly on. CH. Yeah.
Oh, no. It's a Czech Republic with CZ. So I'm going to go for China.
China is not the right answer. Unfortunately, these people like chocolate and cuckoo clocks. It was the Swiss.
Of course.
Well, weird acronym. Yes, CH. So number 14, BG.
BG. Stay on. I'm going to go for Bulgaria.
Correct. Very cheap plumbers. Bulgaria was the answer. Question 15, D. On its own, D.
D has got to be Deutschland. It's got to be Germany.
Deutschland, yes, the country that had two very unsuccessful tours of Europe in the 20th century. It was Germany. Question 16, GE.
Clue, please, Ted.
Ray Charles sang a song about it.
Georgia?
Yep, Georgia on my mind. It was, of course, Georgia. The whole day through. Yes, so you've got another one there. Question 17, J. On its own, J.
J. Ooh. Now, this could either be, I don't think it would be Jersey, so I'm going for Japan.
Correct, Japan. 18, let's get these done. MEX.
Mexico.
Hey, the country that doesn't like a wall. 19. Right, this is a long one. KERNOW. Kerno.
You made that up.
KERNOW.
No, I'm never going to get that.
It's not so much of a country, more of a county, and they do like pasties. Cornwall. In Cornish, Cornwall is Kernow.
Really?
Yeah, I've pronounced that probably really badly, but then, I'm not a Cornishman. Yes, Kernow. And finally, SN.
SN would be... clue, please.
They are geeks with no mates.
They are geeks with no mates.
I
don't know.
Yes, it's not actually a country. That was a trick one at the end. SN stands for sealed. Actually, sorry, I've really messed that up. It's supposed to be SK.
Oh, that still doesn't help me.
No. Anyway, it's supposed to be. It's SK and it's sealed not. These are the people who like Civil War reenactments. Sorry, I did say SN. It was actually SK on the back of their car. So I was trying to throw you a bit there. No, you wouldn't have got that because you're not a geek and you do have mates. Well done, you scored. I'm going to say about 14 out of 20.
That's good to me. Yeah.
You win a free round trip of your home, valid for the entirety of the COVID quarantine period. Fantastic. Excursions include a trip to the bathroom, to the kitchen, and who can forget the back garden. That's it
Oh.
from this week on the show. Thank you for joining the Car-Boyz. Email the Car-Boyz at car-boys, boys with a Z, at outlook.com, and we will endeavour to answer your questions, be they car-related or not. Hopefully, we will see you next week, all being well. What have you got planned for this week, Simon?
Absolutely nothing.
Fantastic. I shall literally be doing childcare, trying to teach my children basic maths, and going to work.
Excellent.
Because I am a key worker, I promise you. Ta-ta!